Yesterday I had a call with one of the hosts of this podcast. It's called In Growth We Trust. It's a growth marketing, another growth marketing podcast. And this host, Yon Pavi, he's a fan. He's a fan of the pod, of this pod, of the Edward Show, and of the newsletter. By the way, if you haven't checked out my growth hacking newsletter, well, I'll say it at the end of the show. Like a little mental note to remind y'all at the end of the show. Fan of the newsletter, and he reached out. He's also CMO of this fintech Nude. And so I did a call with him. We did a call, and he taught me something pretty valuable. He told me how he grew his podcast, and this applies to any founder. This applies to founders who are looking to get investors, founders who are looking to get customers, or sales reps who are looking to get customers. I thought this was a cool tip. This isn't something that I knew. I didn't know how easy this was. He's using LinkedIn. I didn't know how easy this was or how inexpensive. And that is what I am sharing on episode 98 of the Edward Show, of the Edward Show, episode 98 of the Edward Show. So this guy, Yon Pavi, he has In Growth We Trust, this podcast. He started the podcast a couple months ago, and he gets, if I remember correctly, 2,000 listeners a month. He has 12,000 connections on LinkedIn. This is going to be a number heavy episode, but I'm going to do my best to break it down. He has 12,000 connections on LinkedIn, and he uses this tool. It's called Wallaxy to message all of his connections. It messages them with an automated message using Wallaxy. Wallaxy. I'm on the site now. The hero message is the H1 is make LinkedIn your number one acquisition channel. The sub is contact your prospects on LinkedIn and email, get responses automated and easy from €0 per month because they're based in France. So they say euros. And this guy, Yon, he's in London. He is in London. And so he uses this tool to automatically message all of his 12,000 LinkedIn connections. He's sent out 4,000 messages so far. He sends this message. He sent me the exact message that he uses and said that I could share it on the Edward Show. I think it's very valuable knowing the copy that people send and that works for them. So before I tell you the message, out of the 4,000 messages that have gone out so far, 1,000 of those people have actually listened to his podcast. That's pretty good. 25% have actually listened to his podcast. And out of those 4,000, only 3 were like, hey, this is spam. But those people wouldn't be valuable to him anyway. Those 3 people, they weren't going to help him with anything, people who were complaining. So out of the 4,000 that he messaged, 25% listened. This is the copy that he sent. This is the automatic message that he sent using Wallaxy. He said, hey, first name. And then he sent the waving emoji. I'm very specific. I think knowing like the exact details is really useful. So he said, hey, first name, and he sent the waving emoji. Bit of a random one, ... I've started a podcast and we're hustling to grow it fast. It's growth, marketing, and product focused. And it's called In Growth We Trust. And he used, the single quotation marks for In Growth We Trust, and then the period outside of it. We're currently one of the fastest growing marketing podcasts in Europe. I would love it if you give it a listen or just click on follow on Apple/Spotify. Everything helps, Everything helps, Use the links below, and then it's the emoji finger pointing down. Apple Podcasts, he uses tiny URL to share that. Spotify, he uses tiny URL to share that. Have a great day, Yon. And that's it. That's the message. I love this message. Very humble, very nice. It's a cool message. Honestly, great, Yon, great. If you're listening to this one, actually, you're going to listen to this one. Good job with the copy on this. When you sent this to me and I read it, I'm like, wow, that is amazing copy. That's just so nice. No wonder you're getting 25% people listening to that. Now, here's how you would use this if you are trying to get investors. There's a story that I like. I shared this with a friend yesterday. The story is there's a guy and he said he was trying to raise a seed round. He had never raised money before. And he said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be successful. At first, he was really just like, he wasn't trying that hard. And then he realized, if I'm going to raise money, if I'm going to raise this seed round for my startup, I got to take this seriously. And so manually, I don't think he knew about an automatic tool that he could use. Manually, he sent a message to all of his LinkedIn connections asking them to connect him to investors. He didn't ask them for money. He asked them for connections. He asked them for warm intros. And by doing this, within a few months, he raised a $5 million seed round. Crazy. A $5 million seed round. I don't think he had if I remember the story correctly, I don't think he had a product with any traction. And he raised a $5 million seed round because he got warm intros. Warm intros, those are really valuable. Cold messaging investors, that's dumb. That's a waste of time. I talk about that all the time. In my opinion, the only time when you want to actually put in the effort to fundraise is if you have crazy traction and investors are messaging you. That's number one. Or number two, if you have warm intros. Aside from that, I think you're largely just wasting your time. Take that time and put it on building, put it on growth, put it on marketing, put it on getting traction. So this strategy, this LinkedIn fundraising strategy, you message your connections to get the warm intros. I think that's cool. So that's number one. You can use an automated tool, send a message like this, and then get warm intros and then raise like that. Or it could be customers. Hey, you send a similar humble message and you say, we're trying to grow. We do this. If you know anyone who would find this product useful, it would be super helpful to refer them to me, and I will treat them like a king or queen, something like that. And then you could do that to get customers, and this would be very useful if you're selling something that is high ticket, that is high priced. And you could use a tool like this, and you can use your connections. What else was interesting is I said, will you follow up with these people? Like, at what point is this spam to your LinkedIn connections? And he's like, well, he's like, first of all, sending this in the first place, they've connected with me because they liked something I said, or we met in person, or they found me interesting. And so they connected with me because of that. Like, we were connected because we agreed on something, whatever it was, but we're connected, which is different. This isn't completely cold. We're connected on LinkedIn, so it's not completely cold. That was number one, and I thought that was a great point. And then number two was that he would wait maybe 4 to 6 months, and then he could send a follow-up message with something else. And it doesn't have to be the podcast. It could be something else. Maybe he's fundraising for his own startup. Maybe he's selling his own product, and he could do something like that and get referrals like that. So I thought this was a cool trick. The tool that he's using makes it look really easy. I haven't experimented with this myself. I'm totally open to it. I just haven't tried it. So many great marketing channels out there. I do my best on this show to talk about them and shortcuts that you can use with them. But I think this is pretty cool. Oh, and then the other way that he grew his podcast is he had on guests. He would have on big guests who would bring, so the other 1,000 listeners a month comes from guests. He has on decently sized guests, and they bring their own audiences to his show, and then some of them stick. And that's how he does it. Anyway, I thought this was cool. I think this is a useful trick for founders. I love founders. Founders are some of my favorite people. Founders I'm a founder. I love bonding with other founders. Man, things are crazy. Like, as a founder, I have several startups, and we just took all the MRR for this one company, Reverb.chat, pouring that into development. All the MRR that we get from that comes from a SEO funnel, bottom of funnel. So I'm targeting keywords at the bottom of the funnel, purchase intent keywords, and people are searching these purchase intent keywords on Google, finding my SEO landing pages. The conversion rate is super high because it's organic and it's purchase intent. People know what they want. They just don't know the brand that's going to give it to them. They come along our product, they use it. Some of them it's freemium, and then some of them convert to paid customers. And we're taking that MRR and putting all of that towards development so we can make the product better really fast. We already have the go-to-market set up with the SEO funnel that I made. And the crazy thing is, I set up, I think I told this story on a different podcast, so I'm sure I'll tell it again. I set up this funnel in early 2020 during lockdowns while I was living in Kiev, Ukraine, which was, a lot of people had terrible times during lockdowns. I was very fortunate. I had an amazing time. I had good people. I had good people who were coming to see me. I was living in this mansion apartment with 3 balconies in the center of this beautiful European city. I was eating the best food. and I was doing work that I loved, which is writing these bottom of funnel SEO landing pages. And it was amazing. It was years ago. And it, like, to this day, these convert. Crazy, crazy time. I mean, now's a great time. I talked about TikTok series being like the most brilliant feature. And I just made part 1 of a series on how to run Twitter X ads. And if you have listened to my show before, you know that I found this glitch with Twitter X where I spend $1 a day ad spend. I'm getting millions of impressions and thousands of link clicks. I already have podcast episodes where I say how to do that, but I'm making a series showing, like with video, how to do it, and then other things that I've learned. I don't know, sell that for $5 on a viral video about Twitter X on TikTok. I'm so hyped. Everything's amazing. Everything's amazing right now. I hope you who is listening right now, I hope things are amazing for you too. Today's going to be a great day. If you follow me on Instagram, edward.builds, I say that every morning on Instagram. I put it up on a story first thing in the morning. Today is going to be a great day. Today's going to be a great day. Episode 98 of The Edward Show. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to all of you again tomorrow. Bye. Oh, I almost forgot. My growth hacking newsletter. If you're not already subscribed, it's edwardsturm.com/newsletter. Bye now.